Hello, welcome to Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. In this video, we're going to be looking at the Kruleboyz faction preview for Age of Sigmar. As always, please do leave all the comments in the comments below about what you think about this video. I'd love to know what you think, especially if you're excited for a Kruleboyz summer, hashtag Kruleboyz summer. And if you're a swamp boggler at heart, then let me know. I am going to sound a little bit down and maybe not super high energy because I am quite sick at the moment. But I want you to know I am really excited about this, and it does look like it's incredibly good. So if you're a Kruleboyz player or thinking of becoming a Kruleboyz player, I think I'd be very excited about this preview. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at are the battle traits. So when you build a Kruleboyz army, they will get all the benefits of these battle traits. And these have got to be some of the most flavorful and interactive battle traits that we've seen across any of them so far. So you have a passive called Dirty Tricks. Okay, your army can use one Dirty Trick ability per phase. So a battle round is made up of turns, and a turn is made up of phases. So you're going to be able to use one ability per phase. Now, there is a restriction to this. The effect of a Dirty Trick ability is only applied if you make a successful Dirty Trick roll, which is not like rolling around in some mud outside. The success of a Dirty Trick roll, which is a D6, depends on the number of Dirty Tricks abilities armies already use this battle round. So it gets progressively worse. The first Dirty Trick you try to do is on a 2-up. The second one you try to do is a 3-up, and third one is a 4-up. Now, what's really fun about this is it resets every battle round, and this adds another point of contention for a priority roll in Age of Sigmar, because you'd be like, oh, actually, priority roll's coming up. I've won the turn, but don't want to give my opponent because all my dirty tricks have reset. That's quite interesting. So mapping out how you're going to do your dirty tricks is super fun. Okay, so what can you do with your dirty tricks? So there's 4 different dirty tricks that you can do, and they're all done in different phases. Let's look at the first one, which is Lethal Surprise. This is done in your opponent's charge phase, and you pick an enemy unit that charges turn and is in combat with any friendly Kruleboyz units. Inflict D3 mortal damage. In addition, for the rest of the turn, the target's weapons cannot be affected by the charge +1 damage weapon ability. This is going to shut down cavalry pretty aggressively, in my opinion, and then it's going to combo pretty nastily with the Noisy Racket Dirty Trick, which you do in the combat phase. Don't forget, this is done in any charge phase. If your opponent uses counter charge, you're still going to be able to use this. Same with Noisy Racket, which is done in any combat phase, so you can do it in every combat phase. Noisy Racket, you depict an enemy unit in combat with any friendly Kruleboyz units to be the target, then make a Dirty Trick roll. The target has strike last for the rest of the turn. That's great. So what we're talking about is, as long as you roll a 2-up and then a 3-up, your opponent's going to charge into your big brick of Gutrippaz, and they're going to be losing potentially +1 damage on the charge, and they're going to be striking last, so you strike before them. That seems insane to me. A 2-up strike last feels great. The other 2 are also pretty good. One is once per turn in your hero phase, you can use venom encrusted weapons. You pick a Kruleboyz infantry unit, and then the start of the next turn, the attack scores critical hits on unmodified hit rolls of 5. This is obviously going to be really good for your Gutrippaz that have got crit mortals, and also your Bolt Boys, which are most likely going to have crit mortals. So they go from doing mortal damage on 6s to hit to 5s to hit. So obviously this is only going to be able to do once, but this is maybe really nice, especially because you can do this. This one you can only do in your hero phase. Next one can be done in any movement phase. You pick a friendly Kruleboyz infantry unit that has 10 or fewer models. So this will be 10 Gutrippaz, or most likely 6 Bolt Boys. It's probably what you'll see doing here. Make a roll. If successful, remove the target from the battlefield and set it up again wholly within 3 inches of a terrain feature, more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So imagine your opponent does a move, moves all their units around, and then you teleport your units to 6 Bolt Boys out of dodge, and you move them somewhere else. This is going to combo, obviously, incredibly effectively with the command ability to shoot in your opponent's turn. So when you shoot in your opponent's turn, you can only shoot at the closest visible enemy target. Well, now you've just changed up the game, and you're somewhere else, which is wild. Sure, you're going to set up for the right tactic and your dirty trick isn't going to work, but you're going to be able to keep spamming to try and make these happen. Even if you do venom encrusted weapons and you do the movement phase 1, so already when you try and do Lethal Surprise and also Noisy Racket, they're on 4s and 5s. It doesn't mean you're not going to do them all again in the next turn and just try and hit some 5-ups. Because some of them are game-changing. Strike last on a 5-up, sure, you're going to want to do it on a 2-up, but if you have an opportunity to do it on a 5-up, Really good in my personal opinion. Battle formations, Age of Sigmar 4, each army's got 4 different battle formations. The one that they show off is called the Kruleboyz Claw, and it gives you the passive Swamp Shroud, where for any Kruleboyz units that are wholly within 3 inches of a terrain feature and are not visible to enemy units that are more than 12 inches away from them. This is super good. Really good, especially when you look at some of the war scrolls we can look at later. This means you're going to be able to avoid a bunch of shooting and a load of other stuff. Spells, targeting from spells. This is really good. Swamp Shroud is really, really good. Okay, Arcana and Incantations. This is when you pick a spell lore for your army. All your wizards in your army know all of the spells from that spell lore. The spell that they've shown off is Choking Mist, which can be cast by any of your wizards. And it's cast on a 7. Pick a friendly Kruleboyz wizard to cast this spell and pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches, or wholly within 18 inches. But where this combos really nicely is, if you think about it, if you're playing against another Kruleboyz player, you wouldn't be able to target their units if they're in this battle formation because they're not visible to them outside of 12 inches. So you have to be within 12 inches to cast the spell. So, like, it already shows that the spell that they're showing off already shows how strong the battle formation ability is. Anyway, you subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of that target's weapons until the start of your next turn. As we know from the season rules in Age of Sigmar 4, there's also the ability to have a unit that also reduces the attacks characteristic of your opponent's attacks. So now there's the potential situation where you've got like a unit of Gutrippaz that's your honor guard. You cast a spell on the enemy unit that's going to try and charge them. That unit is going to be -2 to its attacks characteristic. Gutrippaz got the ability to make you -1 to hit. You also are going to make it so they get no charge bonus of +1 damage, and in addition, they strike lasting combat. That's a pretty savage amount of debuffs for an opponent that's just trying to fight 10 or 20 Gutrippaz. So, anyway, pretty strong Choking Mist in my opinion. Next up, unit focus is Gobsprakk, and this guy is a knob. It's the first time I've sworn in the faction focuses, but it's going to be a real problem. He's a bird. Oh, he's a wizard on a bird, actually, with 14 health and a 5-up save, moves 12 inches, has got a control value of 5, like all of the monsters do. He's a unique War Master and a hero. War Master means if he's your general. War Master means that if he's in your army list, he has to be your general. If you have multiple War Masters, you have to choose one to be your general. He's a level 2 wizard and has the fly and has a 6-up ward save. I'm not going to make the Lord of Change joke here because he's meant to be a really good wizard, so a 2-cast is fine, in my opinion. He's got some damage attacks, which are fine. The Killer Beaker Sting is D6 damage, which is interesting. 7 attacks with the Killbeak's Talons is fun as well, but ultimately, he's a wizard and an anti-wizard. So his survivability is kind of like, I'm not really sure, 14 health and a 5-up save, we'll have to see. But he's got 2 abilities that combo with each other. One is once per battle reaction, your opponent declared a spell ability. This unit uses the Unbind ability, but the Unbinding roll is 3d6 instead of 2d6. This is obviously going to combo. So this is a once per battle reaction to your opponent's declared spell ability, which is obviously something you're going to do in combo with his passive, which is Mork Says No, which is each time this unit unbinds a spell, you inflict D3 mortal damage on the caster. If the unbinding roll is a 10+, you inflict D6 mortal damage on the caster. So you can do 3d6, a 3d6 unbind once to potentially nuke a unit. And if that wasn't enough, right? And, he's going to be able to do loads of unbinding anyway because he can unbind 2 spells. You can do Strangle Hex, where you pick a visible, which is a spell that he has on his War Scroll, which is cast on a 6. You pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit. 18 inches. Roll a number of dice equal to the health characteristic to a maximum of 10. So 10 dice. Every 4-up, you do a mortal damage. So that's 5, right? That's 5. Okay, mortal damage on average that you're going to be able to do. Don't forget, you can cast a spell in your opponent's turn. So now that's 10 mortal damage at 18 inches. That's wild. That's absolutely mind-bogglingly wild. It works really well against, obviously, monsters or units with high health characteristic. Works better on them than it does on, say, infantry. But it still feels really good. And is very strong. And, at least it's not mortal wounds, it's mortal damage, isn't it? Inflict 1 mortal damage on the target, yeah. 1 mortal damage on the target. Incredible. Because if you were fighting against a Gobsprakk, another Gobsprakk would be able to do 10 of his 14 wounds in 1 battle round. It's really good. He's also got a once per turn across the army in any combat phase. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. If the roll exceeds the target's health characteristic, one model in the target unit is slain, which is also a great a rampage, which you can do in any combat phase, which means every combat phase. Let me tell you, I think Gobsprakk's really good. He's fragile, but can do a ton of damage. It's kind of what you want. Killer Boss on Great Gnashtooth has got 10 health with a 3-up save, which is genuinely very survivable. He doesn't have a ward save, and then he doesn't really have a combat profile that's like that big a deal. 4 attacks, damage 2, 5 attacks, damage 2, which legit could be like, 18 damage if it pops off. But he's got 2 abilities of the reason you would bring him, because you are going to want to like buff the units around him. So that's what you're going to see him as. He's not like a solo melee character. He's a buff piece. He's got a passive, that's ours, ye gits, where while this unit's contested objective, you do not control. You add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made by friendly Kruleboyz infantry. So that's pretty nice. That's obviously only in combat, but 2 massive units of Gutrippaz, all with +1 to hit. Pretty good. And then all part of the plan, pick another friendly Kruleboyz unit wholly within 9 inches unit to be the target. So that's only 1, another friendly one. Add 1 to the target's control score for the rest of the turn. Control score 2, control characteristic of 2 on the killer boss. Control score is the cumulative amount of control characteristics that you add up, and then you add on any bonuses and take any negatives away, and that gives you control score. So control characteristic is what's on the war scroll, and control score is the total, and those are different. So if you had 10 Gutrippaz who are control value 1, that would be 10, because 10 times 1, so you'd end up with 10, or 10 lots of 1, sorry. You'd end up with 10, and then you'll be able to add 3 for 13. So the killer boss is either going to live or die on whether or not he's cheap enough that you decide to take that for the +1 to hit versus just another 10 Gutrippaz. So we'll see. Then you got the Merc Knob, and that does exactly the same sort of thing, where it's got 6 health and a 4-up save, and it's got control value 5, which is really interesting. Maybe all the flag characters will always have control value 5. It's fine in combat. That's not what it's there for. It's there for 2 different abilities. The first one is friendly Kruleboyz units have a 6-up ward save while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Some other armies get that just for free. Yeah, some other armies just get that for free. So whether or not you think that's important, 2 units of 20 Gutrippaz could be worth it, especially as those units are also getting +1 to hit from the other character, if that's the way you want it to go. It makes a lot of sense. That's a lot of wounds, because Gutrippaz got 2 wounds each. It's a lot of wounds to use on a 6-up ward save. Personally, I just think that slows you down. And then you got the Breath of the Mire Drakes, where you pick each enemy unit in combat. This is in any combat phase. Pick each enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the targets. Roll a dice for each target on a 1, nothing, on a 2 to 5, 1, or a 6, D3 mortal damage. So D3 mortal damage is significant. Some people's allegiance abilities looking at you ogres, so it could not be that bad. Depends how cheap this unit is, but I can definitely see like a big wound sink army. And interestingly, these 2 units, while not particularly snazzy over themselves, have got me kind of really thinking about how the regiments being unlocked are going to work. So you need heroes to unlock different units inside regiments. And what I like about this concept is that you might be able to build very specific army styles thanks to the bonuses that you get here. So whether or not you get enough bonuses, we'll have to see. Gutrippaz that we've been talking about, they are a infantry unit of 10. They have a banner, and they've got 2 health each. So that's 20 wounds with a 5-up save. They have got 2 attacks each, but they have crit mortals. So only 6 to hit is going to be crits. We can make that 5s. We'll do crit mortals. And because of that increased range, where every model within 3 inches of combat is going to be able to fight, that means you're going to have, from a unit of 10, 20 attacks, unit of 20, 40 attacks with crit mortals. Feels really good against an enemy unit, in my personal opinion, while also being a 40 wound sink bubble. Okay, that's pretty impressive. They also have, in any combat phase, the scare tactics, where you roll a dice on a 3+, you subtract 1 from hit rolls, attacks made by non-hero units that target this unit for the rest of the turn. That's done in any combat phase, which means it's done in every combat phase. We already know we can do dirty tricks to make our opponent strike last. So you can have a massive unit of 20 Gutrippaz. Your opponent charges in, 2 up, they're going to strike last, and you're going to do 40 attacks with crit mortals on them. That feels really good. That unit can still be -1 to hit as well. We could have reduced their attacks characteristic down. That's a lot of stacking combination of stuff, but ultimately, I think it's pretty good. That's it for the review. They did showcase one of the Spearhead War Scrolls as well, but we don't know how different the Spearhead War Scrolls are going to be from normal War Scrolls, so I'm not going to get into that too much. Honestly, this feels like a massive glow up, and the fact that those dirty tricks could be game-changing, but are also based on a dice roll, and so that game is either going to happen or not happen, depending on those dice rolls, is really fun. Kruleboyz had such a rough go through Age of Sigmar 3, with them just going cheaper and cheaper, and so it would be nice to see them actually be effective. And I do like the randomness as well. I think that's quite fun and engaging. So let me know what you think. I think these sound really strong. I like to apologize for being sick while I'm making these videos. Can't help it. That's just what the schedule is. But thank you to everyone on the Twitch and also to everyone on the Wargamer Patreon, where you can help support me create content. And also we have some big faction chats where we talk about stuff. So let me know what you think. I really appreciate all of you watching my videos and supporting it, liking, subscribing, leaving comments. So thanks for watching them, and I hope you have a nice day.